Please welcome your host from random corners of the world, making his way through the jungle of online businesses to $10 million. Anatoly Spector. Anatoly Spector.
All right, and we are live. Hey guys, as always, you're listening. Hey, as always, you're listening and watching, since it's live on Facebook, to 10 Million Journey. I'm Anatoly, and in this show, it's one big journey for me to scale my business to $1 million, and I, along the way, interview amazing entrepreneurs who are several steps ahead. And today is another one of those days. My guests are Brandon and his wife, Andria Rudolph. They are 7-figure Amazon sellers who do Amazon wholesale, retail arbitrage, and also doubling into private label. They document their journey through Instagram at Grow My Amazon. I'll put the show notes below. It's really, really cool. They generously share their learnings as well as screenshots of their sales that I'm sure makes some people jealous. Today, we're going to talk about how to have healthy relationship while being in business partners and, of course, a couple. And I'll pick up their brains on the tactics, strategies to succeed in Amazon. So, Brandon, Andria, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. We're happy to be here.
Amazing. I want to compliment you guys, and I already did that before the show, but I want to do it like publicly, that you are the most prepared guest I had so far. 100%. Brandon sent me an outline of the key points for this podcast 4 days before, and I'm getting completely spoiled here, so I'm so happy.
I
did that.
She did the outline, so
amazing. So thank you guys. I really, really appreciate that. You're the most prepared, and that is amazing. So I want to start with your journey, as I always do, and I know that Brandon, you started in early 2005. Based on outline, selling textbooks, which reminds me of one of the other previous guests I had here. Amazing Ryan Grant also started selling textbooks. So for you, why did you decide to start with textbooks, and why did you choose Amazon as an avenue to sell them?
Well, in 2005, I was still in college, and at the end of the semester, you'd pay, or the beginning of the semester, you'd pay hundreds of dollars for your textbooks, and the end of the year you would take your books to the bookstore and get $20 for $500 worth of books. So I looked at Amazon as a way to kind of recoup some of the value of the books, and really I didn't even think about it as like a business model. So I sold my textbooks, had an individual seller account, and sold not only my textbooks but eventually my sister's a few years later when she was in school. And then my account was kind of dormant until 2016, where I had met a good friend of mine. We were living in DC, the DC area, and he had reached out because his business model was online arbitrage, and he was looking for buyers to help scale his business. I'm gonna give him a shout out.
Yeah, let's do it.
Martino, we call him the OA goat because he's been doing this for so long, and we've both learned so much from him. So from there, I kind of learned the ropes a little bit, and just thought be a great way to dabble in a side hustle. And from there, it's online arbitrage has led me to wholesale. With wholesale, I kind of got into it in 2018. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dylan Carter, but I got part of his wholesale group. Every week he would live stream his reverse sourcing process, and from there I realized it was a more scalable business for me and in the way we wanted to approach the business. So, and then from there, I mean, we just been going to trade shows. We've been to Vegas, Florida, where else? Denver. So it's just we like wholesale as our primary business model because it's easy to replenish. I enjoy the P2P or the B2B business. Getting to know your distributors, the brand owners, and online arbitrage is great, but we do it for the cash back, because the cash back has been amazing with online arbitrage. And I know I'm rambling, but
yeah.
Doing amazing. Andria, when was the first time you heard about these opportunities to sell on Amazon, and how did you feel about it at first?
So I remember Brandon coming home and kind of telling me about what John Martino did. And so, you know, he was like, okay, I'm going to start buying this stuff and, you know, we're going to sell it. And I'm like, okay, sure. So, you know, we had a tiny little apartment at the time, and all of a sudden, you know, the room started filling up with products. Okay, so this is happening. So we would be like moving all the packages with like a luggage carrier, trying to get all these packages in the house. And I just, you know, I've always seen like a lot of potential in him. And so I just kind of wanted him to grow in whatever it was that he wanted to do. And we were getting the airline miles and the points. And so it was really like helping us in our life. So then he comes home one day and he's like, I'm going to quit my job and go work for my friend. And I feel like most girlfriends would have been like, oh, no, you're not. But I was like, okay, sure, we'll see. And because I just felt like, you know, you work a 9 to 5 and, you know, this is your cap. You know, you're going to get this much each year. You know, you're only going to grow so much. But as I kind of listened into what he was doing, there's a top, but like the top is so much higher. So I'm like, okay, go ahead, quit your job. I'll be here. I have my job in insurance. Like if anything bad happens. And then we just kind of worked together and grew it together, and here we are.
Amazing. Yeah. So I wanna stay here because I think this transition is a very important point for many people. They might be looking into something like this, but they could not believe that they could quit their job. So I think it's a very important point in life, and it's a very courageous thing to do. So Brandon, what went through your mind? How did you decide to quit your job, and what did you work for when you were working full time? What did you do?
I was the business manager at Georgetown Law School Fitness Center, and you know, I had an amazing job, amazing benefits, but like she said, there was a cap. You know, I'm working my butt off and getting a 2-3% raise every year. So it's just I found myself making to the point where we were making more money with Amazon, and I knew if we would go all in, just unlimited opportunity. So. And we had been in the DC area. I had been there 9 years. She was there for 7. And it was it's one of the most expensive places to live. So we found a new place to live. We moved to Charlotte, so south a little bit more. Our cost of living went way down. So I knew if we were going to do this, we need to get out of the DC area. So we took the trip, and you know, here we are.
Yeah, that's a smart move to do, to pursue your dreams. You sort of go back a little bit and sort of make a little bit of sacrifice, but then you got so much from freedom. So how did you feel the next day when you didn't have a job? Let's say you woke up and then you don't have 9 to 5. Like, how did that feel?
Yeah, I remember I was going to talk about this. It was like June 1st, 2 years ago, and it was a Monday morning. I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, like we're in a new city. I'm self-employed. Like, did we make a mistake? That initial shock, you know, you kind of just learn the ropes, and you know, throughout this journey, once you're fully engrossed in this ecosystem, it just opens up so much more opportunity.
Yeah.
But if I can interject, let's take one step back. While we were living in DC, he was working 40 hours a week at his job, training personal training clients, which is another business that we have, and doing Amazon at the same time. So he was working 24 hours a day. We were getting home from work. I had 2 jobs and was doing Amazon. So we were doing this for a long time before it was almost like we got to the point where like we cannot keep doing this. Like we have got to make a decision. And so we had been saving for a long time to get to this point. So I know when people are like, oh, I want to go full time, da da da, like we had saved a lot and worked to the point where there was no other choice. Like we're going to get sick if we keep having 6 jobs. So then that's when we transitioned.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Work themselves to death. Don't do that. But
yeah,
be ready, be prepared, because it's a roller coaster and you have to have something saved.
100%. That's actually a very good point. Yeah, some people just want to jump right away. I know people tell me, "Oh, I opened my Amazon account. I'm gonna go full time with that now," and I'll be like, "That doesn't sound like a good idea. Maybe maybe you should try it out and see if it's gonna work out or not." Because my first product, I just lost all the money and that's it. So I don't want to recommend people to do something like that. But yeah, when you're starting making money and it doesn't make sense for you hourly to work for somebody else, if you're making more yourself and you have some savings, because well, in your own business shit can hit the fan very, very quickly. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm 100% with you. So you had a lot of different jobs. Let's talk about that as well, because I'm in the same boat. I do lots of things, but I'm curious about other people. Like, why did you do all of this? Like, what was the purpose for that? Did you like it all? Did you want to have more money? Like, what was the reason?
Uh, I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. When I was like 10, 12 years old, I had like 6 or 7 houses that I would eat. In the summer, I would mow the lawns, and then in the winter, I would shovel snow. So I always had like some sort of side hustle. And when I moved to DC, I was working in the fitness field as a manager, but in fitness, the money isn't that great. So in order to make more money, to have a livable life that I wanted, I realized I needed to have like another side hustle. So Andria introduced me to in-home personal training. So from there, I got my certification, and then just started scaling the business from there. And in DC, I think we had at one point 10 to 12 different clients while working our full-time job. So it was constant, mornings, evenings, and weekends. But I loved that personal relationship that you develop with your clients, and it was hard to leave that book of business and those clients. But I'm glad we did. I still connect with them, and she still connects with hers. But now, I mean, she still does the training component. She loves it. That's her passion. I still work with one client from DC virtually, just because we worked well together, and I still enjoy it. But my passion is my full focus is with Amazon.
Yeah, amazing. Great story. So you went full time in you said 2019, right?
Yeah, June 2019.
And Andrea, you went full time as well? But how did that happen? How did that happen with you?
So we moved to Charlotte, and then I ended up in 2019, and then I ended up getting a job, and then I got a job that I actually really loved because my background is in health and fitness. That's what I went to school for. That's why we started the fitness business. And then when COVID happened, I got furloughed from my job and then eventually laid off because the job just didn't exist anymore. So it was almost like overnight I didn't have a job, and there was 175 FBM orders that needed to go out. So it was like, we have to fulfill these orders, and you don't have a job, so you're full time. Here we go. So that's kind of how it happened. We did plan actually for me to go full time like the beginning of Q4 2020. So that was on our goals anyways, but it just kind of got pushed up. We just wanted to make sure that, it's kind of nice to have a significant other still working when the first one goes full time, because then you kind of have a little bit of cushion in case something goes wrong, or, your health insurance. And then, when the pandemic happened, I just went full time.
Amazing. Well, that's a great story, and I'm happy that you guys are fine, because many people who were hit by COVID, they lost their jobs. They didn't not have any cushion or any other options. So, yeah, you guys did amazing. So I'm personally very happy that you guys were able to do that earlier, because now you can sit here and share your story, inspire others who might be in much different position. So let's talk about your current business. You guys are business partners, I assume. So how did you decide who does what in your business?
Well, 2020, it was a transitional period because with COVID, business really took off, and Andria got thrown into the mix. So really, the end of 2020 and now 2021, we're really working on putting systems in place. I mean, her focus was FBM, and she does all the RA, because we do RA shoes, Nike, Adidas. So that's her area of expertise.
And for people who don't know, just interjecting, RA is a retail arbitrage. And the difference in wholesale retail arbitrage is that retail arbitrage, you find something and then you sell. While wholesale is you find some distributors or manufacturers, buy from them and sell someone else's product.
Right.
on Amazon. And private label, as we're going to talk about as well, is creating your own label and then selling it as your separate listing and separate brand. Just for people who are new here to understand what we're talking about, but I'm sure many of them know all of those, but just making sure. So please continue. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So she had, FBM, retail arbitrage with shoes. I had taught her how to do a full shipment, or how to go from start into the store, picking out the shoes using the software, Scoutify, creating the shipment in Seller Central, and she's mastered that. And but now, I mean, she has a very creative spirit. So I'm trying. For a while, we were trying to figure out the best way to kind of capitalize on that, and we're working. My other business partner, Joseph Sasso, we have a co-exclusive on a particular product that's sold in REI, and it has nationwide distribution. So we're kind of viewing that as our own private label. So we're working on adding infographics to the photos, creating optimized listings, and she's the one that's taking over with the social media component, because we're handling the social media and the photos. So we're allowing her to.
We've kind of found what works for both of us. So I'm a very creative person. So I do all of the social media, photography, infographics, and then also like operations manager. Like, you got to put shelves up. The product has to go on the shelf. You have to break down the boxes. The boxes have to go to the all of those things that have to happen behind the scenes when you're physically holding product, you don't really think about how much work that is. So I'm in charge of making sure that, our house still runs, the business still runs, we have what we need, and now we have employees that we're managing, so I'm managing the employees too. So it's like operations manager, RA, marketing, social media. And
wow. Yeah, you guys have quite a big business. So let's do a little bit of a step back. And what percentage of your business is retail arbitrage versus wholesale versus private label right now?
I would say we're about 20% RA or retail arbitrage, 20% online arbitrage, and the rest is wholesale. 80% wholesale, and then 20% a mix of RA, OA. But
okay.
Since we've had our account since 2005. It's considered a God account. We get daily disbursements, and we're ungated in pretty much everything. So we figured we might as well maximize the brands that we can sell. And Nike, Adidas, and a lot of other shoe brands are really profitable. So we don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
100%. And you said that you have a team now. So how does a team look like, and what are their responsibilities?
Do you want to take this one?
Sure. So we initially hired someone part-time when I was still working full-time, because I couldn't really do as much as I could now that I'm full-time. So anyways, we have a part-time person. In the morning, Brandon kind of assigns them what they're going to do. They come in, help us get whatever we need to get out for the day, FBM, prep, whatever it is. So we've gone through a couple, we kind of had to find the right fit. We had a couple of retired ladies that didn't really work out, but we have an amazing helper now. Her name is Monique. I think she's watching right now.
All right. Hi, Monique. Yeah, I think she's here. She's she posted a comment there. So hi, Monique.
So we realized not only do we're trying to free up his time so we can grow, so he can work on private label, new wholesale. He shouldn't be breaking down a box or putting a sticker on anything at that point, because it's just not best for the business. So he's doing those things to propel us forward, and then I'm doing the things to help the day-to-day happen, and then Monique is helping, but also helping us grow, because not only am I RA sourcing shoes, now she can go and do that too. And she's just learning and growing with us. So, at some point I think one of Brandon's mentors said, you need to hire help because you're now losing money because you're doing things that are not best for the business. And so we try and have him do things that are best for the business, and we do things to support that, to grow us forward. And then organically, we're all kind of fitting into our spots. I would say advice, don't try and force somebody into something that doesn't work naturally for them. Because if you put me in front of spreadsheets, I'm gonna check out. Like, I can't do that. But you know, if you put me in something like social media or creative or whatever it is, I'll thrive. So just kind of feel like what you're good at if you're trying to figure out what your role should be.
Yeah, you're doing such a great job there. And I think that many people who have those business relationships, they all want to be like, I want to do strategy, I want to do that. But when you understand your core things, like my wife is my business partner as well. So we have lots in common. And for me, like, I am really bad at finances. I'm really bad at forms. I'm bad at those things that are mundane because I cannot do the same thing twice. I'll get really, really anxious about it. And she does all of this very, very well. So for me, I'm looking at strategy. I'm looking at firing and hiring, I guess, hiring and firing people, and just creating a team and just propelling us forward, like you said. And I think this is amazing because if too many people try to work on, let's say, strategy and planning, most of the time it doesn't work out just because, well, everybody has their own opinion. So you need to trust each other. And I think you guys are doing very well. And based on I know that your revenues are about 1.5 million this year, right? Is that this year revenue?
2020, yeah.
So yeah, that shows, the numbers show that this strategy works.
Yeah, I would say I'm more of a big picture person, like, and she, you know, handles like the smaller organizational tasks. I'll never forget, it was April or May of, you know, the peak of COVID, and I'm ordering a ton of supplies, and there's like 3 pallets sitting in our garage, and you have to like tiptoe around just to move around the garage, and it was just driving her
like
nuts.
Having a space to walk, like, you sellers, you know, it can be a challenge to have a space to walk to, you know what I mean? I'm like, we have an employee coming here, like, we have to have a walkway. These pallets have to move, the shelves are falling down, like, that's real life. Like, it just happens. And as soon as at the peak of COVID, like, and just all different times in our life, Q4, you know, it just is everywhere. Sometimes it's all over your house, you know, and you have to have a life too, you know what I mean? So like, it's kind of help try and find the balance.
So are you guys using any prep centers, or everything you do is it your own garage or your house? Like, how does it look like?
Yeah, so I mean, been doing prep for 4 years, and I'm at the point where I'm just so sick of it, but I still do it as needed. But we have a really good prep center that local to, it's in South Carolina. But myself and Joseph, we were their first clients, and they've really scaled it. You know, we've referred them to a lot of people, but I mean, they're one of the best prep centers. We've dealt with a few others that, you know, just didn't communicate or didn't know what they were doing. But, you know, the team that we have in South Carolina, they're just amazing. And they've really allowed me to offset a lot of our wholesale stuff. So we do have some smaller wholesale orders that come here, but most of it's outsourced. And then we do all of the OA, RA items here too.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Amazing. Such a big operation. So let's talk about some tactics and strategies, because I know people who are watching and listening, they are listening and they're really enjoying the story, but they also like, I think I need to have something tangible so I can start doing it myself. So let's start easy. For somebody who is listening to this and they don't know where to start, they're like, these guys are amazing. I want to do the same. I want to quit my job. They sound inspiring, but I don't know where to start. Like, what would you tell them in 2021?
You want to?
Get Seller Central and go to the store and start scanning stuff, like, and then you can start to make a return on it. And then, you know, just start. Like, don't expect to be rich. We look at our sales. We are not rich by any means, you know, just be smart about it. But I mean, from my perspective, like, it helped me learn the RA first. So go to the store, start scanning with the app, see what you can make a little investment, get a little return, put it back in, make a little investment, get a return, start again. And then once you feel good with the process of, okay, this is how I sell on Amazon, I feel comfortable with this investment, get on the phone, try, get a wholesale account, boom, then all of a sudden you've got replenishable product along with your RA, and maybe find what you're good at. Some people start with private label, some people start with wholesale, and if you feel like that's more your vibe, start there. But have confidence, don't be afraid like, oh, I'm gonna, if we can do it, you can do it. So just start and watch YouTube videos. YouTube will literally tell you how to do the whole thing. I feel like it's so helpful.
So yeah, before you open anything, it might be a good idea to just go on YouTube and say, let's say, retail arbitrage, and then just watch how people do it. And then somebody, I think it was Ali, who right now is making like $5-6 million, and he just said, I didn't have any courses, I just watched YouTube, and I just did. Whenever they said open, I would just stop the video, I would open my account, and then would play the video, and then it's exactly how he did, and he scaled his business, and now he's good. So that's a very, very good advice. Just start doing. And I completely agree. A lot of people here, they're asking me like, Anatoly, how can we do that? And I'm giving them advice, but they never apply. They would just ask me again, same thing over and over again, month in, month out. Is that a good product? I'm like, but try any product. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're in private label, I usually tell people, well, order small quantity, buy something, try it out and see, fail. Because everyone fails. It's fine to fail. When you're an entrepreneur, the only people who don't fail sometimes are employees, because they just do what other people tell them to do. Their bosses fail, but they don't fail. So you feel that making money is nothing about the failure when you work for somebody else. But when you work for yourself, it's all about failing and then going up and going up and going up, or sometimes going down.
Forward. So like always try and go forward. So like personal life, business life, like we ordered this, it's a flop, then next time we're going to learn this and just fail forward, because like you said, failure is part of the process, but you end up on the other side much better off for it. So embrace those failures and just use it moving forward.
Yeah, and that's something that people who are new to entrepreneurship very hard to grasp. But just trust in the process. Do fail. Fail is okay. If you're not an entrepreneur, failing is not okay. If you're an entrepreneur, I think failing is okay anyway. But some people just think like, if I fail, I get fired. Entrepreneurship is not like that. Just do small fails and then don't fail big. That's the only that's the only key. All right, that's a really good start. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So
I do say too, like for me, I learned, I'm in so many different Facebook, Amazon groups, and I've learned so much from so many different people. And I would say just finding the niche, or like if you want to do retail arbitrage, just type in retail arbitrage on Facebook and see, join a group. There's, there's more advanced groups. There's groups for people just starting out. And also too, I'm big into networking. So when we first moved to Charlotte, I joined there's an Amazon meetup group here. It's like the first or second week when we moved here, and I've met so many great people and I've learned so much from them. So if I ever have an issue, I'll just reach out to my network and then they can assist.
Yeah, and if you can, after the show, just send me links to some of those groups that I'll put in the show notes for people that you recommend, that you like. If you have any, we'll put them in the show notes so you guys will know what Brand and Andria like, and it's up to you if you want to join them afterwards or not, but at least we'll have some resources for you. So now let's talk about the a little bit more advanced, I guess. Let's say you are in wholesale business, and I had quite a few wholesale guys recently, and they all share amazing tips and tricks, and they all are different, which I love about. I'm thinking of dabbling into wholesale myself, just because so many people I know they're so amazing are into wholesale. But let's say I decided to do wholesale, and I know nothing about wholesale, and I just thinking, okay, I need to find someone who can give me product I want to sell. What would be the first steps for you right now to look for those people? Look for those, I guess, distributors, not people, but companies.
But before I answer that, I just want to say, like, your two guests that I was listening to, Eric Lott and Curtis Stid, John Martino actually has worked with them in some capacity and knows of them. So like this ecosystem is smaller than you think. So it was kind of
100%. Yeah, they're amazing guys. And if you guys haven't listened to that, Eric Lott, Curtis Stid, also Justin Post and Ryan Grant, those are the wholesale people who were there. That they're definitely amazing. So yeah, go ahead.
I would say, I mean, for me, I learned reverse sourcing through a Facebook group, and then I applied it. So the way I learned was I started on Amazon to find products, and then there were certain criteria that I look for using tools such as DS Amazon Quick View, which is a free Chrome extension, Keepa, which I'm sure Curtis and Eric both talked about, and I use Helium 10 as well. There's a Chrome extension that to look over the reviews, the review analyzer. So just using those simple tools that are all free, and making sure Amazon is not on the listing, or like they're very rarely on the listing, and the price consistency is, you don't want a product that's just all over the place. So you want price consistency, really good volume. We have certain volume BSR criteria per category, but ideally between no higher than 80 or 90,000. But if the product looks good, then we'll go on Google and just type in the brand name, and then from there we'll call them or ask the brand if they have a local distributor that we could buy it from.
So I'm a systems person, so I'll try to disseminate that if I would be doing that. So forgive me if I'll be asking some primitive questions, but that's how my mind works. So I would go to Amazon, and then I would have those extensions on, and then I would go to certain category, I assume. So maybe let's say Eric Lott likes groceries. So let's say I would go to, and he likes some Mama Jams and some Mama Spices. So let's say I go to Amazon, and then I would start searching for what would be my my keywords, like what would I do to start the process at least?
Yes, so we actually started in the pet category, so we would type in like dog treats as a smaller category, and then from there my criteria would be I at least want 3.5 to 5-star rating, because you don't want a bad product, higher return rate, and then from there just filtering through, going using the Chrome extension, the DS Amazon Quick View. It'll tell you specifically as you're scrolling through each product if Amazon's on the listing and how many FBA sellers are on there. So if there's more than one FBA seller, most likely it's not a private label product. So we look for 2+ FBA sellers and Amazon not on the listing.
Yeah. That's all you need, guys. You just got yourself a formula how you can start searching, and thank you. And FBA, I mean, sometimes people jumping on my listing, so you might find and I'm getting, as soon as I see that people are jumping on my listing, sometimes I'm getting a call from people like, hey, do you do wholesale? And I'm like, okay. Looks like somebody's on my listing. Somebody's checking that out. But that's amazing. So you found the product, let's say it's Mama Joe's spices, and then you would go into Google and search for the brand.
Right. So we go on Google, search for the brand, and then we would either email them or call them. But I like to call because it's more effective, because the brand or distributor is getting hundreds of emails a day, probably about the same thing. So calling, at least you have a better advantage, having that personal connection.
Yeah. And I'm keeping drilling you a little bit on that, because there's so many different opinions. So I know that what other guys told me, that when you email them or call them, many of them, the usual answer is, we don't allow Amazon sellers. Is that something that you guys found as well, the case?
Yeah, but I guess towards Q4 and present, I really haven't done too much sourcing, but the brands that I have called in the last few months, there's been more competition because of COVID, and a lot of more people are trying to jump into the e-commerce space. But I mean, personally, I like to be told no, because that means the brand isn't just giving the product away to everyone. So usually when I hear no, I like to ask them, why don't you want to work with any Amazon sellers? And then from there, you can kind of see their pain points, and hopefully you can just listen to them and then maybe interject or have some ideas that they may never have thought of.
Yeah, amazing. And then from there, you tried out. How do you decide how much to buy? Let's say they're saying, we don't usually sell, but Brandon, you're so cool, we're gonna do you an exception because, well, we saw you on a podcast and you're so amazing. So what would you do then? Like how do you decide? Well, first of all, what probably should run it for some software to decide if the price makes sense, and like what's your next steps?
Yeah, we also with Helium 10 we have a subscription to, but there's a calculator, so you input the buy cost, and it's all on the Amazon listing. So it'll give you the current selling price, you input the buy cost, and then you'll see your net after FBA fees, the fulfillment and the pick and pack.
Okay.
If it makes sense, I mean, I would say for our wholesale margins, at least 20% or greater. I mean, with COVID, it was a little bit greater because the demand was outweighing the supply. So there were products that we normally were getting nearly double for, which was insane. But we'll do a test buy because it could look great on paper, you know, great on Keepa, and then someone could come in and tank the price.
Yeah.
So we do a test buy, I would say, you know, 18 units, so no greater. Just, you know, you want to sell through, and if the products sell through pretty quickly as anticipated and the price remains consistent, then we'll, you know, maybe double or triple that order and then just keep scaling it from there.
Interesting. And is there any profit margin that you're looking for at specific prices that you know that if it sells for like $5, I'm not making any money, but if it sells for let's say $30, it makes some money there? Do you look at those things as well?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I say we don't go for products below $20 because there isn't much margin for profit. So $20 or above, and then for wholesale, we try not to do high ticket items. You know, I would say between $20 and $80. And
Okay.
but with online arbitrage, we've done some higher ticket items, and it works out most of the time. But sometimes you have to deal with those returns because then you're losing out on the referral fee, and then you have to inspect the product and then hopefully resell it as used.
Yeah. And if it's not a secret, what would be the average profit margin on your products? Like what are you looking for?
With shoes, it's a bit higher because, I mean, at least 40–50% ROI, because, I mean, shoes have a high return rate because if it doesn't fit, you know, you can just return it back to Amazon, and then you're losing out on that referral fee. So you kind of have to factor that in. So that's why we have to have higher margins with shoes. But with wholesale items, I would say, you know, 30% ROI or greater.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one because and does this include your other expenses, or like is that profit margin, like do you do PPC or anything else, or just something that you take home 30%?
That doesn't include PPC. So there's right now we have a select few SKUs that we run PPC on, and then we also do just a broad 2-cent PPC campaign, an automatic campaign, just to kind of capture low-hanging fruit. So but we're primarily focused on just a handful of products for PPC, but we don't factor that in, well, to that 30% that you talked about, and prep and shipping too. So that's why we went a little bit higher to offset some of those other fees.
Amazing. I'm going to get to the question that come from Facebook, and then we're going to jump back on this. So I think, Andria, that's a good question for you. So I'll show it on the screen. Hi, Brandon. Andria, nice to meet you. Seems like you have a lot going on. You're pretty busy as a couple. How do you make sure you spend some quality time, vacations, etc.?
So we have no problem spending time together because we're together all of the time. But as we transition and we're home and we're together all the time, what I personally have done to make this work is, you know, keep the space clean. Make sure somebody's got something to eat. Like, we never really fight, but like if someone's hungry, we're fighting. So, you know, every day, like, realize, you know, you're switching to business mode. It's not husband and wife in the moment. Like, you're in business mode and it can be hard, but I try and make sure that the environment that we're in is very clean and organized. Set the coffee, set the products ready the night before, so we get up in the morning and have a routine. So every morning we exercise, every morning we eat a good breakfast, and then these are the work hours. Everything runs smoothly now, and it hasn't always, but I kind of run we run our home like a business. So this is what time we eat lunch, this is what we're eating and taking care of our bodies at the same time, because when you're not leaving the house, that can be a challenge. And as for, vacations and such, so we have kind of, in the past, before COVID, our vacations kind of revolved around going to trade shows. So for instance, last year for Brandon's sister's birthday, we ended up going skiing in Colorado, which also was a trade show. So we then invited family and friends to come skiing with us while going to the trade show. I mean, they didn't go, but we kind of created our vacation around that. We did that with the Vegas trade show. We did that with the Florida trade show. So we kind of mixed both together and, make it work. But at the end of the day, our goal is to make this business successful so that when we start a family or, move on to the next business endeavor, we know that we're making some sacrifices now to move us forward.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Very honest and very humble and very, very, very nice reply. So you talk, Andrea, actually, you talk a couple times about goal setting. And I think for me, it's very interesting because I'm a goal setter as well. So can you walk me through, like, how does your guys' goal setting routine looks like, and how far away do you set goals? How do they look like? And how do you come up with the goals, I guess?
Sure. So we initially started setting goals when I think it was like 2017. We got this whiteboard and we wrote on the whiteboard above the desk, these are the goals. We want to sell this much. We want to, move to Charlotte. Whatever our goals were, they're currently still written on the same whiteboard that they were in 2017. So at the beginning of each year, we set exactly what the goals are so that we can look at them every single day and know exactly where we're going. I look at life as, I'm not going to go somewhere I don't know where I'm going without putting it in the GPS. So if we know every single day, our goal for this year is this much, we need to sell this much each month, or, whatever the goal is, we can make sure that everybody is aware of it. He has personal goals, I have personal goals, Monique has goals, so then collectively we're meeting our goals together. And I just think that's really important to know where you're going, set realistic goals, and get to them. And, I wrote in pencil on the wall, it's right there, what I wanted our goal to be as a joke, let's get to 1 million. I wrote it on the wall in pencil. And then we got to 1 million, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Be careful what you wish for, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So just be very, very clear and intentional about those goals and be open and honest about it and do what you got to do to get there.
And I completely agree. That's amazing. For somebody who never set goals, let's say, and I'm always looking out for people who are listening, they're like, this is so amazing, but I don't know how to start. Because system mindset. So for somebody who would say, okay, but what should those goals be? Like, how would I figure out where to start? Like, when you guys were starting out this goal setting, how would you decide, okay, this is a goal important enough to pursue, let's say?
I would say, like, what is important to you? So to us, it was important to have, so we wanted to do this full time. So we have to make steps to get there, or we want to be able to go on 2 great vacations a year. So when you're grinding and you're in the house and you're packaging and you're doing all the stuff that's annoying and you're stressed out about it, something on that goal board is what you want in life. And everybody has to do this for their own reason. You may do it for your child. You look into his eyes and you're like, I got to provide a life for this guy. He's got to go to college soon. We got to do this. We want to travel. You know what I mean? So that's what pushes us forward. And I think as long as the goal is really personal to you and what you want to do in your life, then you'll be more motivated to get there. Ours is not necessarily a dollar sign. It's just how we want to live our life, with being able to go on trips and have freedom and take care of our family, or go visit our family. Just have that freedom. We're not chasing specific dollar amount. It's really about a quality of a life and the things that we want to accomplish.
Yeah, amazing. And if I can add something from my own, and I do set goals for many years now, I would say that it's very important to have diverse goals. Because if you're just looking for one side, if you would just say, I want to make $1 million, that's actually not a good goal, because what are you going to do with $1 million? You need to understand what are you going to spend it on. But also, if you just focus on that, there's a lot of other things that you will miss out. Let's say your family, your health, and other things. So if you set I usually set one goal for health, or maybe more, one goal for a business, one goal for spirituality, like I'd like to meditate and yoga, and I would set those goals. And then I try to achieve as much. For me, 70% is good enough, but I try to achieve as much of this goal. But I know if I do all of them and I achieve 70%, they will be diverse. So if somebody will start out, I don't recommend you just set one goal for business. Money is important, but when you achieve this money and you don't have any health, and you don't have any friends, you don't have any family, your wife is gone, and there are a lot of situations like that. I read,
That's
yeah,
so true about having different buckets. It can't all be about money. You got to have health. You got to have other things. It can't just be about money. So think about it holistically about what you want in your life. But something I read the book called Atomic Habits, and it
yeah,
helps you to like get in focus on your habits. And with goal setting, something that he did that helped me immensely this year was you set a goal, but the goal, say the goal this year, the goal is to, say your goal is to make this much money. But like underneath that goal, you have to have little goals of how are you going to get there. Like, so every day my FBM orders are going to be done by this time. I'm going to make 100 calls a week. I'm going to do this, this, and this, so that that goal is achieved by like little mini goals. Because if you make 100 calls a day or 100 calls a week, 100 calls a week, 100 calls a week, you've then made 10,000 calls and you have 10 wholesale accounts. But if you just have that goal and you don't have how I'm going to do it, it can be a little hard to get to that goal.
yeah. That's an amazing book. We'll put in the show notes below. Really, really good. Highly recommend, and that makes total sense, because if you don't know how you're going to get to your goal, you don't have to know the final destination. Like maybe you don't know how to get to $10 million, but you know that you're listening to the podcast and saying you guys are doing this much, so you know, okay, I need to do 100 calls, as you're saying, or I need to do 100 orders. So at least you have something that you can replicate what other people do, and just do the same thing. Read what other people do the same things, and most probably you will get the same results. It's as easy as that. But yeah, when you have goals in different buckets, you'll make sure that you don't end up alone, sick, and almost dead. So
She's been
that's a great one.
helping me with that, because I mean, I'm so passionate about e-commerce. Like I could sit down and work all day, and it could be like 8 o'clock at night, and she's just like,
you have to
get
eat,
off
you
the
have to
computer.
shower, you have to go work out. All of these things still have to be done. And I appreciate his constant dedication to it, but that's how we make it work as a couple. Like when I tell you every day we exercise in the morning, like that's a non-negotiable for us, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. The money doesn't matter if you're sick in the hospital, you know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way.
100%. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Goal setting. And I think it's very, very important. We don't talk about goal setting that much on this podcast, but I'm going to talk more about it, because this is the cornerstone of how you get to everything else. It doesn't matter if you do FBM, anything. You need to set yourself goals. And guys who are listening and watching, I'll promise I'm going to talk more about goals from now on, because I was asked about it as well from many people, because they know I like to set goals. They're like, why are you not talking about that? Not ask. So goal questions will be on every interview now. The other thing I usually like to talk with people about is their biggest failures. And some people are not comfortable to talk about them, and I'm okay if you are not. But if you can share some of the failures you had, I think it's very, very important and useful for people, that they know that, okay, these things can happen. It happened with those guys as well, and they overcome it. So I'm not in such a bad situation. So if you can share some of them, that would be amazing.
Sure, I would say like 2 or 3 years, or my first year in the wholesale, I came across a few products. It was like it was a brand that did private label, but they were looking to wholesale the products. And I didn't know too much about Keepa. I was fairly new to it, and I saw it was a seasonal product, so I saw the current BSR for the time, and it was an all or nothing deal. So it was like very expensive, and I like was highly leveraged going all in on this. And I've probably sold maybe a quarter of those items. Like it's just sitting in my death pile, and it's a constant reminder that I've made a big failure early on, but I pick myself up and just keep moving forward. So they're slowly selling, and I'm determined to sell them all at some point, but but until that time, I still have to just stare at it or every time I go to my
we
my
actually have a
storage unit.
storage unit for it. We failed so far forward that we had to now have to pay money each month to store the stuff because it doesn't fit in our garage. I say the garage is like real estate. Like if it's not making us money right now, get it out, because there's sellable product we can be flipping from there. So it was, I think, we have more than one product that is not selling as quickly as we would have liked. But we definitely learned that lesson and are going to try to not just really research those products more before. And that's learning. I don't think Brandon really knew how to really in-depth research them. We were so new, but now that set him up to know how to do better wholesale sourcing.
And I'm pretty sure like 90% of people did the same mistake when they were starting out. I have a good mistake that I usually talk about, how I looked at green binoculars and they were selling very well, and I was like, I create my private label with the green binoculars because green is a color that everybody sells. I put the same product on with 0 reviews, and other green binoculars were selling, and mine was not. Then one day somebody bought like 7 units, maybe something ran out of stock or somebody. And I'm like, I'm gonna be rich, so I ordered more units, and then I was stuck with like $10,000 or $15,000 worth of green binoculars that people did not need. So it took a while for us to sell them out, but taught me a lot of good lessons. And I think that's like a business school. You pay either $40,000 for a business school or 12,000 of your mistakes, and then you learn almost the same thing. At least for me, I was in business school before, and I learned much more just by doing things. So. Just saying that this is a mistake, but many people make it. So it seems like you learn from it, and you're doing much better now. So that's amazing. I have a thing called rapid fire questions that I ask at the end of every podcast. I ask every guest to sort of get their opinion on all those things, and I can then compare opinion from 100 guests and stuff like that. So first question I do ask is, if let's say you just had $5,000, you did not have any lists, you did not have Monique, who is amazing and helps you out, you did not have any connections, anything, not your Facebook, just were 2 of you, you were in debt, and you just had $5,000, and you would think, we need to get out of this. What steps would you take?
You want to take it?
No, because I can't. So.
Is this focus on like 5,000 towards Amazon?
Anything.
I mean, I would still focus on the e-commerce because it's only in its infancy. E-commerce takes up just a small percentage of all commerce in general. So I would say getting started in wholesale and focusing not only on Amazon, but we've also transitioned to Walmart in 2020, which we didn't talk about. So there's a lot of opportunity, and if you find the right brands, you can turn that 5,000 into $2,000 profit, and then you have 7,000. Just it'll continuously snowball. So I would say start small, just with wholesale and making calls, on a daily basis, and coming up with a plan of action like Andria's been talking about, and just make the mistakes, but make small calculated mistakes and risks. And then once you feel comfortable going heavier, once you have the skill set and the knowledge, then that's when you want to like go all in.
And don't spend your profit. Put it right back in. I'm a pull profit person, and Brandon is not a pull profit person. So, and that's the correct decision. Don't pull your profit. Keep snowballing it so you can grow.
All right. Let's make a little bit of detour from our rapid fire questions and go to Walmart a little bit, because I think that's also the topic that a lot of people who are on Amazon are looking for other avenues, because Amazon is the only source for some people of income, and it can be crazy when they suspend your account, which happen to most of my guests actually. So it's not very uncommon. Then you're in a big trouble. So. Can you talk a little bit, what do you do with Walmart? How did you get approved for Walmart, and how does the scene there look like?
Yeah, so in 2020, it seemed like Walmart was really pushing for new e-commerce sellers, because they were opening up their third-party sellers. And I had applied earlier in the year twice and got rejected. But through my network, I learned that if you sign up for a 3PL called Deliver, so you can register for Deliver, they have a connection, or they have they integrate with Walmart. So once you register with Deliver, you can reach out to your Deliver rep, and they'll give you a link to sign up for Walmart. So that's kind of how I got to the fast track with Walmart. And then from there, it's kind of a learning curve with Walmart. It's very outdated. I mean, compared to Amazon Seller Central, it's very outdated. So you kind of have to figure out, because there isn't much data out there or video, so you kind of have to figure out on your own. And there's different Facebook groups that I joined to help, make a listing, or, take an Amazon ASIN and convert it over to Walmart. And there's no application too, which I think is crazy. So everything is on the desktop or on your phone. So it's been pretty wild. But we have a system in place now, so we send product to Deliver for certain SKUs, and they fulfill the order, very similar to the FBA program. And we're on the waiting list for Walmart. They have Walmart fulfillment services. So a lot of people once we get on that system, it's still on the waiting list. Then we're going to send all of our products that we sell on Walmart into Walmart, because now I kind of have to pull from our prep center, our products here, or even some Amazon doing multi-channel fulfillment to fulfill the Walmart orders. So it's a little bit more work, but I feel like being first, or one of the first sellers to learn and navigate the Walmart platform, be able to help and just help brands to grow on the platform.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the Deliver. That's a good hack that I'm happy I asked, because definitely
a tool that I found through, I'm in a bi-weekly mastermind group with wholesale, and I was told to try out Seller Active, so selleractive.com, and I would just use it for a couple months. But you can easily you can automatically convert your Amazon ASINs to Walmart. So because otherwise you have to do it manually, which can be very time consuming. So I would definitely recommend Seller Active.
Okay. Yeah, because I know many people wanted to dabble into Walmart, but it's hard for them to get approved, as far as I heard. And I think we applied for it as well. I don't know. I don't deal with applications because I'm not a forum guy, as I said. So I don't know how far we are there, but we're probably going to get into Walmart as well, because, as you said, it's a new platform, and I know that ranking is much easier there. I know that not too many competitions, so right now is the best time to do it. I didn't say that, so for people who are listening, no, don't go to Walmart, but I'm gonna try it out.
I would try it out. I mean, we're hoping to scale it to like 10 to 15% of our volume for Amazon. So it's not going to be anything like Amazon, but we're selling different products that we normally wouldn't sell on Amazon, or that are slow selling on Amazon, that are selling well on Walmart.
Yeah, and I know that one of the guests, Michael Lebar, if you guys listen to his podcast, he actually is doing Walmart as main revenue generating thing for him now. So he moves most of his stuff to Walmart because he gets suspended by Amazon. So now he's killing it with Walmart. And yeah, so if anyone interested in that, listen to Michael Lebar episode.
And it's so great too with being on Walmart, because when you call brands now, you can say you're multi-channel. You're not just an Amazon seller. So it kind of gives you the upper hand. And there's been brands that I can sell only on Walmart compared to Walmart or just Amazon. So you're able to diversify a little bit and kind of have the competitive advantage against just an Amazon seller.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so you guys, please diversify, I think it's important. That's actually a very important point, that when you call people up, it's important that you provide them the whole strategy and plan, saying, okay, I'm on Amazon, I'm Walmart. People are much more willing to deal with you. Or if you're just saying you're on Amazon, some people think, oh, you're just like this kid in a garage. That is not what they're doing, because Amazon became so hip that anyone can get there and just start selling right away, which is not a bad thing, but I don't know, brands doesn't like it that much. I guess too much hassle to onboard you and then offboard you, because they offboard a lot of people who are just doing.
And I actually get upset when people call me an Amazon seller, because I'm multi-channel. And I'm trying to build a relationship. It's not just a transactional business. I'm calling brands, I like to develop a relationship and getting to know them, and it pays dividends once you really get to know the brand owner, your rep for the distributor, because they're the ones giving you all the best deals, or if they find extra product, you're the first one that they call. So
their relationship mindset goes for all assets. So we send out like written Christmas cards to our people who we contact, who we work with. We give gifts to UPS, FedEx, USPS. We know the store managers' names. We give them gifts. So we don't have physical employees, co-workers that we work with, but at certain stores, the manager is like, oh, we have that RA thing in if you want to come and get it. Or our UPS driver, he's coming to pick it up. We make sure that we take care of him and give him a gift. And our wholesalers, like that relationship building. And this, I think, goes for any career that you're in. Also, picking up the phone sometimes. Like a lot of people want to just email. If you need something, pick up the phone and call. If you're, your what is it called? Your prep center is not doing what they need to do, or whatever it is, pick up the phone and call. And just having those relationships with people can really move you ahead forward, because Beth from dogtreats.com might remember you and they have a new product and give it to you first. So always treat the people who you work with like a business mentality and with respect, no matter if it's the UPS person or the FedEx lady who has one tooth. Everybody is important to, the grand scheme of the business.
Amazing. I think just on Brandon's point when he said that you're not just selling on Amazon. I think people think that they are Amazon sellers and that's their title. I think Ryan Daniel Moran said it very nicely once, and he's the guy who has a YouTube video how to get to 1 million. So I highly recommend to watch it. He's like, if you are just doing Amazon, you are not entrepreneur. You're just an Amazon sales manager. If you're just managing Amazon, what you need to do is you need to be a strategist entrepreneur and just treat this as a sales channel. This is one of your channels. You're scaling up, but you're maybe using Amazon to fulfill your orders. So this is a mentality of the businessman, of the entrepreneur, and not just I'm here to hustle and sell a little bit on this platform. I'm just a seller on one of those platforms. You're just an employee of this platform if you're thinking that way. So it's very important how you position yourself. So
yeah, along those lines, like when I first started wholesale, you kind of give the pitch, a value pitch, like I'm going to do this, this, and this, and most, 9 times out of 10, that person either doesn't know how to do it or isn't going to do it. So that's why I kind of am dabbling into private label and learning more, because having that skill set will give you the advantage of someone that's just buying the product and selling it. So you can actually go in and run the PPC, improving sales, changing the title, the optimizing the listing, and adding value. I mean, we've helped a brand become brand registered, with the transparency program, which helps fight counterfeit. So adding that value just will help you stand out from just other sellers.
Yeah, like with anything in business, as soon as you can add value to people, and if you do it with a great heart and don't charge for the extra value, that's when people say, wow, these guys are amazing. Nobody else did that to me. And then you stand out, and then you build those long-lasting relationships. Amazing. Thank you. So I'm going to get back to rapid fire questions. I know we did a little bit detour, but I think this was a very important one. So I'm very happy I did. The other question I do ask every entrepreneur is, how did your life change when you started making a significant amount of money from where you just started out and you did not have much, I guess?
I would say I come from a blue collar home, so I've always not had that much money, I guess, and I've always been a saver. So even though our assets are growing, like I still act the same way. You know, I buy the same type of clothing, and Andria's a little bit different, but I would say just stay focused and don't change your lifestyle significantly because you're making more money. So just keep being the same person you are and stay humble too.
All right. Andrea, you have something to add to that, or you're the
I mean,
same?
yeah, I mean, like he said, we both were raised with, very average homes. Like we never wanted or needed for anything, but, we weren't well off by any means. And we made sure to still try our best to stay grounded. I don't ever want anyone to think because we put, oh, this is our sales 1.5. Like we're only sharing that because if someone needs or wants help, we want you to know that this is where we are and this is how we can help you. So if someone posts that they have 5 million, we're going to look like, oh, hey, how did you get there? And definitely stay humble. Like this year we made sure to do like a Salvation Army adopt an angel and give back to people in our community, or however we can give back to make sure that we continue to do that and just stay humble, because I believe that those things will come back tenfold to you, and just be an overall good person. Like we're never going to be those people who are like, this is our Mercedes, this is our this is our that, like this is our sports car. Like this is not what it's about bragging, about flashy, that's just not really, I think, our goal. And I hope that we don't come off that way, because that's not our goal.
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, if I look at your guys' Instagram, you're very cute and you're sharing the value. I think that's exactly the people that if I would be in a wholesale space, this is exactly people I would follow. As long, yeah, same as like Eric Lawton, Curtis Stitt, those guys. You all are like this community where you're very authentic, very humble, and you're ready to share, and you're sharing a lot of value. So thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. So the couple more questions. We talked about Atomic Habits book, but which other book or books, if you guys are readers, and I assume you are because you look like you read a lot. So what books have changed your life or influenced you the most in your business journey?
For me, a couple years ago, I was recommended to read the book Shoe Dog. It was
by Phil Knight. Yeah.
Phil Knight. So that like just changed my outlook on business. How he just sacrificed everything, and he was so passionate, went all in, and was competing at the time with Adidas, which was pretty much the only player in the sneaker world. So he just persevered and got to the top.
Granted, Phil Knight is an owner of Nike, for people who are don't know what it's all about, but yeah, he's his journey, how he built a Nike.
I highly recommend that book. And I was prepared. I just got this book. It's called P2P is really, or B2B is really P2P. So 3 weeks ago, I was driving home from a trade show from Atlanta, and I was listening to Todd Welch. He has a Amazon wholesale podcast, and he had brought on this speaker, Frank Soma, and he had talked about how important having that B2B or P2P connection is in the wholesale space. And when you're making calls, how to react a certain way. If someone's responds this way, you should do this. And it's not only good for personal or for business, it's good for like my personal life too.
Yeah, 100%. Andrea, do you have any books that you want to mention?
So of course, before we mentioned Atomic Habits, and I think that's good. No matter what you're doing in life or what you're trying to accomplish, that is an amazing book. And I know this is probably going to sound silly because I feel like everyone has read this, but before I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I didn't understand how people got rich, and I didn't understand how money really worked and how you really generate wealth. And I think that Rich Dad, Poor Dad does a very good job of breaking it down in a really relatable way. And so at that point, and that's why when he came to me and said, I want to do this business venture, that was our rich dad, poor dad moment. Either you're going to stay at this desk job and we're going to be the poor dad, or you're going to start this business and we're hopefully going to be the rich dad. So because I had read that book, I think it was our friend Ryan who introduced us to that book, who's actually doing really well in real estate investment. Suggested this book to us, and it really just changed my view on how to gain wealth and how it works. So Atomic Habits and Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, two amazing books as well. Robert Kiyosaki has lots of, actually, he has, I think, Why Rich Are Staying Rich and Poor Are Getting Poorer. That's another great book. It's like continuation of that book. But yeah, for people, this is, a lot of people talk about this book, but this is like a basis of what do you need. If you're an entrepreneur, you should probably, if you want to be an entrepreneur, understand the mindset. This is one of those books you should probably read because, yeah, it just lays it off really, really well. And yeah, thank you. Amazing books, and yeah, I love it. Phil Knight, one of my favorite books as well. I love biographies, and this guy is just like a legend. And I think I started wearing Nike. I love the Adidas, but as soon as I read the book, I'm like, I'm buying a Nike shoes, and now I'm a fan now. I don't know. So he converted me. His funnel worked very, very well. I guess. Yeah. So the two more questions. What are some of your favorite podcasts, mailing lists, or anything related to how do you get information to succeed in your business, your just like well-being, let's say, anything that you listen to and you want to recommend, or actually watch as well or read?
I would say I'm so engrossed in the e-commerce space. Most of the podcasts I listen to are Amazon focused. I really like The Smartest Seller with Scott Needham. It's probably my favorite, but I also really like the Serious Sellers podcast by Helium 10, just because it's more of a private label focus, and it's it's coming up with ideas like selling on different platforms and just having different ways to find products or just whatever we're looking to do in the private label world. And then also the application or the app Clubhouse has been very huge. So it's fairly new, but it's invite only, but for iOS users, but a lot of big sellers like Amazon Lit is on it. Brandon Young, he's a 8-figure private label seller. So they're going on there, and to me, it's like listening to a podcast because everyone is talking about different ideas. There's different like chat rooms, and you can chime in if you'd like, ask a question, or you could just listen. So I've been using that app more and more.
Yeah, it's became very popular in the community. I know most of the people in e-commerce space, they're like, oh, I'm in Clubhouse for sure. I'm there as well. So if anyone wants to connect at Anatoly Spector, I think I'm there. I should probably do a 10 million journey, but I did Anatoly Spector. Anyway, so yeah, Clubhouse, amazing. And those two podcasts are some of my favorite as well. Scott Needham, he was on a show as well. So if you guys are interested, look for Scott Needham. I'll put in the show notes as well, so you guys can check it out. So the last question, and since you guys listen to a podcast, you probably know what it is, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is my journey. I ask every guest to give me an advice. I have a private label brand. Currently, we are scaling it to 1 million and then to 10 million. Right now, we have 2 products, actually 3 products, but discontinuing one. So 2 products, each of them making about $100,000. And yeah, we are scaling to 1 million to 10. Not too much information, but knowing what you know. What advice can you give me?
I would say we really haven't talked too much about TikTok, because Andria, that's one of her creative outlets, but really utilizing TikTok as a platform if you're looking to launch or gain more traction. If you have a really unique product, you can really boost your sales. I know Scott has talked about it on one of his podcasts, but just having that bump can really elevate you to the next level. And just, it's kind of a forward thinking thing, because yes, a lot of younger kids are on it, but there's a lot of millennials, and it's getting attention in the e-commerce world. So I would focus more on TikTok and maybe finding an influencer, and I'm sure Andrea has some input too.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, when I listen to your podcast, I'm like, oh my goodness, like these people are so smart about Amazon. Like no one's going to want to, hear what I have to say, you know what I mean? That I kind of think that we gave like a realistic kind of perspective for people maybe who are not so far into their selling journey yet. But, you know, some people have this, you know, preconceived notion about TikTok. But to put it into perspective, remember when we were all on Facebook, and then we all left Facebook, and then we all came to Instagram, and now where is everybody going? They're going to TikTok. So, you know, people are selling things on Instagram, and now it's becoming out of date. So for instance, you know, I dabble a little bit in TikTok just to see what the app is about, because who knows what the future of selling is going to be. But I believe that it is going to be on TikTok because that's where people are going. It's not just kids. It is lawyers, doctors, nutritionists, Amazon sellers, e-commerce sellers. All of that stuff that's happening on Instagram is now happening on TikTok. So if you're not listening to it, like, I mean, I would just scroll through, and you don't have to necessarily listen to kids dancing or silly stuff. Search the hashtag Amazon sellers, and then there's an entire community of Amazon sellers on there, same way that there is on Instagram. So I mean, I guess my suggestions were to be like, I think that have some great grounding for your business, you know, respecting your health, your family, all of your buckets, your spirituality. Everybody should always remember those things. It's not just about money, it's about your quality of life. And be open to the next big thing, because, you know, be ahead of the game. Because if you're only on Amazon, then you're missing out on Walmart or the next thing. If you're only on Instagram, you're missing out on the next thing. So just be open to other avenues, I guess.
Yeah, we did not talk about TikTok, and I know that you guys are big on it. So we hopefully going to do another one, and then we're going to talk about more things, because I know I have many more questions, but this is a limited time frame. But yeah, thank you. This is amazing, and I'll reach out offline, maybe ask you for some resources about TikTok, because I have nothing about it. And then whatever you provide, I'll just put it in the show notes so everyone can benefit from it as well. Well, that was amazing. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. You brought a lot of value to myself, and I'm sure to the listeners. And you're being humble. You're being exactly the guest that I'm looking for. Authentic, interesting, cute, nice. And thank you. Really appreciate you. Thank you for taking your time today.
Yes, thank you.
And for everyone listening, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.